Good morning. It was about 9 years ago when I came here for the first time and heard the words that I desperately needed to hear. All are welcome. About 2 months prior to my first time here, our youngest child had come out as transgender. And that took us on a journey that was unexpected, but life-changing. And I like to think that my husband and I are better parents and better people after having a child that came out as transgender. That's what brought us here. We had been parishioners at a Catholic church. It's where we met. It's where we married. It's where we took our children every week. And our children even went to Catholic school. But when your child becomes part or is part of a marginalized community, it changes things. And I could no longer sit in a Catholic church where my own child was not welcome. So that's how I ended up here. It's how my husband ended up here a few weeks after I started coming. And that's why we remain. Because even though our children are out of the house and not parishioners here at this time, once you have a child that's not welcome somewhere, you are going to do everything you can to fight for their rights and to be part of a community that would, in fact, welcome her and people like her. I thought a lot about what I was going to say today because this is actually my third Stewardship Minute. And I didn't want it to be exactly the same and talk only about our daughter. There's many ways that St. James keeps us coming here. And while I don't come every week, I come here enough to know all of the good things that St. James does. And like any church, St. James is not a building. The church is its people. And the people here are giving and loving, and I see it every week, and I see it in big ways and small. My husband and I both work full-time, so it's hard sometimes to make the time to do good for others. But the little pantry has afforded us a way to give back just a little bit. I was at Stop and Shop yesterday. They had a 2-for-1 sale on Cheerios. It cost me absolutely nothing. I kept a box for myself, and I'm going to put a box in the pantry. My husband helped out at the soup kitchen yesterday because he had the time to do it. We've marched in the suicide walk because our lives have been touched by suicide. There are 1,000,001 ways that St. James empowers you to help. A few weeks ago, we had the privilege of, we had the opportunity to visit our son, who is in the United States Coast Guard as a rescue helicopter pilot. And we went out to San Francisco to see him, and we had the privilege of watching the cliff rescue training. And it was very, very interesting, really amazing thing to witness. And after about 2 hours, we hiked down, and we were heading to lunch. And I don't think my son had driven 100 yards towards Route 1 when we heard this tremendous crash. And we didn't witness it, but we saw the aftermath of a very serious accident between a commercial van and a small car. And the van had hit the car directly into the driver's side. And my son, went right into rescue mode, put the car in park, made his way across the highway, was one of the first people there. My husband and I followed, as did a few other bystanders. And I was able to talk to the driver whose window was partially open and the driver of the car who was stuck in the car, and just kind of reassure him that people were working to get to him. But I felt a little helpless in that moment because none of us had the proper tools to extract him from the car. And although a phone call to 911 had been made, sometimes it takes time for rescue to get there. So one of the bystanders had gone to his truck and found a tire iron and was able to crash through the window on the passenger side in the back. And my son was able to get into the back of the car and reassure the driver that help was on the way and to keep breathing. And I remember the driver saying that the seatbelt felt very tight on him and that he was hurting. And again, it just made me think, gosh, if we just had those tools, the right tools, we could have helped them even more. And I've since been on the internet, and there is a $10 tool that you can get, and this is not a sales pitch, but I went out and ordered one for each car and each of our children's cars. It cuts through the seatbelt, it bangs out the window, and I thought, what a great thing for $10. If we had had that, if we had had the proper tools, we could have helped even better than we did, even sooner than we did. And you might ask, why am I telling this story? To me, it's analogous to St. James. In a world where things feel absolutely hopeless at times, where everything is overwhelming, the news is so incredibly negative. We're at war. Their poverty is worse than it's ever been. People are literally depending on a little pantry on our lawn for a meal. When things are so desperate and so hopeless, it's hard to feel that you can make a difference. But St. James gives you those tools. Whether it's buying a present for a child whose parents are incarcerated, something that I personally never even thought about until I came to St. James. It just wasn't something on my radar that, oh sure, people in prison, many of them have children, and those children are not getting gifts at Christmas. Something as simple as that, something as simple as helping at the soup kitchen or walking at the suicide march, or any myriad of things that this church does to support others. Pick one or two, anything that you can do to help, because believe me, together we can all make a difference in this church where all are welcome. Thank you.